Well, good afternoon. Happy Friday, and welcome to my world. You're probably wondering what happened on Wednesday, whether or not it was an actual deliberate attempt to see how well you could read lips. I have no idea what happened or why it failed. What it was really all about, in a very short synopsis, was the fact that we had moved to Simi Valley some 46 years ago. And with the intention of leaving within 2 or 3 years after the freeway that runs through Simi to the San Fernando Valley was completed, which would increase home values and would allow us to go ahead and make a killing, financial killing on our home, and move to someplace civilized, because at the time Simi was about as far out into the wilderness as you can go. Realistically, there were only 35,000 people living out here then. There are about 135,000 now. So you can get an idea of what kind of exponential growth we've experienced. And it was about the fact that sometimes unanswered prayers are the best gift you can get from God. Because we never moved. It was a perfect place to raise a family, the perfect place to start a business. And sometimes things just work out serendipitously that way. So that was what that was all about. Today, Friday, the 3rd of April, 2020, Journal 313. I think it's T+366, maybe T367 because of the leap year, but who knows? It's kind of a celebration of my first transplant birthday, which is pretty amazing, really, when you think about it. The fact that I'm here having this discussion with you is pretty special. Plenty to be grateful for there, especially after you've been diagnosed with a terminal, chronic, incurable, untreatable illness. So it was and the way I celebrated was with a with a bone marrow biopsy. And, I celebrated by having somebody punch a hole in my pelvis and dig out a bunch of marrow so that they can go ahead and do some molecular testing on it to see to what extent, we're cured or on the road towards being cured. The good news would be, of course, if there were no more modifiers, if the IDHG mutation was gone, and if the JAK2 mutation was gone, which would make me a pretty happy guy. So we won't get those results for a while. Right now I'm sitting here, sort of riffing on the degree to which this is uncomfortable, because there's a pressure bandage where they went in to get the marrow, which is at the crown, the point of the hip. If you reach behind you and you find the highest point of your hip to either side of the highest side of your pelvis, the highest part of your hip to either side, that's where they go in generally. So you can imagine how uncomfortable that can be. One of the things that was amazing about yesterday, and I'll mention that here, was the amount of security at City of Hope. Now, you have to realize that it's not a conventional hospital. It's a research hospital. So they really don't take any emergency patients, and they don't take any they really don't have any patients there that aren't part of their community, part of the cancer or endocrinology practices that they support for cancer and for diabetes and for certain other diseases like that. Nevertheless, that doesn't mean the security wasn't insane. The number of people with masks, the number of people checking you when you walked in the door, having your temperature taken, it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. And when you walk in there, you're relieved that it's that crazy, because you don't want to be someplace where there have been, incidents of COVID-19, coronavirus patients starting to stack up. That was, that being said, it was still, this is not my first bone marrow biopsy at the City of Hope, and it was different. The nature of precautions was different. The nature of care was different. The kinds of protective, personal protective equipment that they were using was different. It was pretty crazy altogether, and in a way, it was really reassuring in many respects. But the thing that's fascinating is that if you're like I am and you're not afraid to talk to people, you can find out a lot about what's going on at a place like City of Hope or any other hospital just by talking to the nurses, because the nurses are like non-coms in the military. They run the place. They know exactly what's going on. And one of the things that was reassuring was the level to which they were comfortable being where they were and not somewhere else. All of them have friends that work at other hospitals, many of which have COVID patients now, and they're talking about how difficult and how dangerous all of that is, frankly. So I think I'm going to go ahead and throw a video in here if I can figure out how to edit it in, and show you what my day was like 1 year and 1 day ago when I was actually transplanted, when I actually received my stem cells, and how pretty cool that was. So in the meantime, stay well, take care. Talk to you more later.